Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is fighting for his political life. Now, Israelis go to the polls tomorrow. The latest polls show the gap closing between Netanyahu and his main rival, Isaac Herzog, of the Zionist Union Party. Joining us from Washington is Dan Raviv, a national correspondent for CBS News Radio, and the author of books on Israeli intelligence and Israel-U.S. relations. Dan, is this a surprise that Netanyahu is struggling to win this election? Why has he been stumbling?
Well, Gigi, what it feels like during this campaign is that Israelis are tired of Netanyahu. He's been prime minister for years. He was even prime minister about 20 years ago. And so a lot of Israelis want new leadership. They want a better chance for peace. They want someone who makes them feel more comfortable against the Iranian nuclear threat, whereas Netanyahu always seems to alarm them that they could be on the edge of war at any moment. And a lot of people are concerned about the economy. So that's why the labor leader, Yitzhak or Isaac Herzog, has a good chance. The Labor Party renamed itself, as you say, the Zionist camp. But everyone in Israel knows it's either the right-wing Netanyahu or the left-wing, led by Herzog. We'll know a lot more tomorrow, though I don't think we'll have a clear winner right away.
Now, what has Netanyahu been saying to try to rally conservative support in his country?
Well, there was a huge rally on Sunday night in Tel Aviv, and he said that he thinks all people who believe in a strong Israel should vote for him and not for some of the small right-wing parties, that he needs to have that gap narrowed. Right now in the polls, it's Labor that apparently will win more seats than Netanyahu. So what did he say? He said that he's not in any rush to make concessions. He said the left-wing leaders, they would make concessions to Iran, to the Palestinians. He hinted even to President Obama. He was hinting that. Netanyahu never wants to sound hostile to the Obama White House, but he said that he has not surrendered to foreign pressures, and he says the left-wingers would. So here's an example. He said there really is no chance of a two-state solution with a Palestinian state right next to a Jewish state of Israel right now. So that pledge that he made years ago, that he supports the idea of a two-state solution, he said as long as he's PM, he doesn't see it happening.
Speaking of that hostility with President Obama, so much has been made in the U.S. over Netanyahu's decision to come and speak before Congress, not to President Obama's invitation. How has this affected his election in Israel? Well,
invited by the Republicans only, and that was 2 weeks ago. And Netanyahu, I can tell you this, from people close to him, thought it would strengthen him during the campaign, and it didn't. It does seem to have backfired. Opinion polls in Israel are suggesting that people thought he was grandstanding, using a trip to the U.S. Congress, for campaign purposes. So it did not help him in general. In fact, the Labor Party leader, Herzog, said, hey, look at Netanyahu. He's irresponsible, and he's turned President Obama into more or less an enemy of Israel. Yeah, the language is that strong. I don't think President Obama is an enemy of Israel, but I can tell you this, the Obama White House officials, they don't like Netanyahu, and though they would never say so in public, I think they'd like him to lose tomorrow. So it could have a big impact on U.S.-Israel relations. If there's a different prime minister, I think relations would improve. I'm not saying there'd be peace in the Middle East. I'm not saying everything would be, rosy in that very, very horrible, volatile, dangerous region, but certainly relations between Israel and the U.S. have been bumpy. They'd improve if Netanyahu were out.
Well, to say the least. Dan, it's expected that whatever the outcome of this election, both parties would have to conduct negotiations to form a coalition in the Israeli parliament. How do you see that playing out?
Well, listen to this. You need 61 to have a majority. There are 120 seats. Nobody's going to come close tomorrow. The opinion polls suggest that the Labor Party may get 25 seats. Netanyahu's party, Likud, may get 21. 25, 21. How do you get 61? You have to call in a whole bunch of smaller political parties and make deals with them. I'll give budget control to you. I'll give more money to schools you're interested in. I'll do this and that with the price of everything from gasoline to cottage cheese. This could take 4 weeks, but the president of Israel, his name is Rivlin, will decide who gets first crack at it. So within a few days, we'll know whether it's the Labor leader Herzog or the conservative we're used to, Netanyahu, who gets first crack at trying to form a coalition. We're not going to know the true outcome for a few weeks.
So there will be time. But when the votes are all in, everything is resolved, do you expect Netanyahu to win re-election?
Well, I have a feeling he's probably better at putting together a coalition. And there are more small parties that lean toward the right, conservative, afraid of Iran, not wanting pressure from the U.S. or Europe on the Palestinian issue. I think the conservatives still have the edge, although at this time tomorrow, when we see results, we'll say, oh, my gosh, Netanyahu came in second. He may not keep the job of prime minister. He might not, but somehow I think he has a better chance at putting together a coalition.
Well, he certainly is a gifted politician. A crucial election. Dan Raviv in Washington, thanks for breaking this down for us.
Okay, Gigi.